Logistical support to get the Americans. All right. Happy birthday.
Oh yes, hit that like, everybody. We're about to get started. I think, yeah, sonically it sounds all right. Sounds like it's happening. Very exciting. Has a luggage problem. What? Well, you wouldn't.
We have a lot to get to, and we do not want to waste it.
How about on the hand?
go. Let's do this. Let's jump straight in. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the show. And I want to say right out of the gate, you're listening to House Mark's Megaworldwide, or you're watching, or you're doing both, a mix of the two, which happens as well. So hit that like, subscribe, infotainmentwars.com, patreon.com/HouseSparks, twitch.tv/HouseSparks. Follow me on Instas and all that stuff, and here we go. Hi, chat room. Couple of things right out of the gate. In the near future, fingers crossed, this show will be converted into a podcast, chunks of a podcast, little bits of corn in the turd of podcast world. This is a terrible analogy. I'm not going any further. I refuse. It's really shameful I let it go on this long. I'm ashamed of myself, and I'm ashamed of you for laughing. Stop it. Stop laughing right now. All right. That said, hi, chat room. A couple things right out of the gate, if I may. Little housekeeping notes. Tomorrow afternoon, no show because I will be on a plane. Tomorrow morning, regular show. Saturday, radio show, regular show. Awesome? Yes? Good? Fantastic. Now, a couple of things right out of the gate, if I may, before we even get into just the insanity that we are currently staring down the barrel of. And that, of course, is, well, I'll just bring it right up. Yeah, that would be this story right here. This is from, by the way, Rupert Murdoch's paper of note, the Wall Street Journal, I think it's pronounced, inside the secret negotiations to free Evan Gershkovich. Now, you're like, wow, how many Evan Gershkoviches are there? Well, that's Paul Whelan, and that's the other lady from the Russian lady who was there or whatever, and then these people are just in the dark. I don't know. But that's Evan right there. He is en route right now, en route, if I may say. I don't even think the French have a word for en route. We'll find out watching the Olympics, I suppose. And Gershkovich is en route to the U.S. to meet with Joe Biden right now, the guy who secured his release. And Joe Biden apparently finalized this deal about an hour before he announced he was not going to be running for president again, that he was going to just ride out the rest of his term and pass the torch to Harris. Right before he did that, he, like an hour before, he's like, we did it. Okay, cool, I'm ready. And that's when they announced. There were a bunch of other reasons why they announced, one of which, of course, was to bait Donald Trump into making the stupidest VP choice of his life. We will get to that eventually because, god damn, it's just adorable. I will say, I have enjoyed almost as much as Sarah Palin being added to the McCain ticket. I've enjoyed the addition of J.D. Vance to the to the Trump ticket because it had basically the same effect. I'm just saying. Now, before we get to that, there are a couple of moments from Biden's press conference on this, by the way, and I got to say, he looks. His voice was raspy, but he looked as youthful as I have seen him in quite some time for this little get together. And I got to say, probably knowing he's not going to have to campaign and all that stuff has allowed him to focus on one thing. And that's got to be a big weight off your shoulders just at his age, at his health level, at his everything, right? That seems to make sense. Now, let me move this over here, beg your pardon. Get out of the way, you weird little thing. I've got to open up the, there it is. I need to open up my chat so I can see you guys in here, for Pete's sake. Now I can see it. There you go. So everybody's making noise about the mic dunk at the end. I wouldn't even call it a mic drop. I would call it a straight up, like, no look dunk of the microphone. This is that's the moment everybody's talking about. This, I think, is an actual better moment, if I may.
You all know we have a tradition in the Biden family. We sing happy birthday on any birthday. You ready? All of you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Miriam. Happy birthday to you. Remember, no serious guys till you're 30. God love you. She's Alsu's daughter. Now she gets to celebrate
She goes over and she started crying, by the way. Just really sweet. It's just really nice. And that's so funny. No serious guys till you're 30 is hilarious.
with her mom. That's what this is all about. Families able to be together again, like they should have been all along. So I want to thank you again to everyone who did their part. In just a few hours.
By the way, he called specifically. He got on the phone with Germany and the leader of Slovenia as well, and basically did the strong arming. And part of it had to do with, like, looking at his economic numbers and stuff, and he was using his record, interestingly enough, to convince these people he's going to get reelected. This is before he stepped down from the campaign and passed it over to her. But the idea that they're going to run on my record, and my record's going to get me in there. Don't believe this Donald Trump bullshit. I'm going to be the president. And so he used, we're going to win. The Democrats are going to win this time. So, we're going to stand by you. You're going to stand by us. So he, for those of you that don't know, Biden with Blinken and his team and him specifically negotiated the release of 16 prisoners, 4 of which are Americans or hold American visas or a green card. She has a green card, this lady right here. And then 16 other Europeans. So 24 in all. We gave Russia 8 people in exchange, all of whom are effectively useless and will never be able to leave the country again. The job that those people did was the kind of job where you go to they send you to the Middle East and you negotiate, you carry out an arms deal. Or they send you in the case of this married couple that was posing as an Argentinian couple in, I want to say it was Indonesia, but they were pretending, they were Russian spies, but they were pretending to be a family from Argentina. You can't do that anymore. Now everybody knows what you look like. Now everybody knows what you're up to. They're stuck. Now, if we give those people back to Russia, they can't continue to do what they were doing. All of these people that were released, for the record, on the American side and on the European side, can continue doing what they were doing because none of them were spies. Paul Whelan wasn't a spy. She wasn't a spy. Certainly, Evan Gershkovich wasn't a spy. None of them. They were all just being either normal or they were being, anti-war. For example, one of the women that was released was a Russian citizen who was effectively exiled from Russia. She was a peace activist. At her trial, she wore a tie-dye shirt with a heart on it and was giving the peace sign the whole time. She got busted for putting notes on price tags saying, no war. She got arrested for that. She hadn't been sentenced yet, I don't think, but the idea was she was going to get 6 years. She was released as part of this package. She was part of the people that got out. So really just a beautiful thing. This is the current live updates. Brittany Griner said she's head over heels happy for the prisoners' families, and she would know. She's actually, I got to say, how many people in the chat room, how many people have seen Brittany Griner play in the Olympics so far? Because we watched the women's basketball yesterday, day before, whenever it was. Jeez, everything blends together. It was just like, it was so like heartwarming to watch her free and playing and safe and all that. So I can only imagine how her family and she feels watching this news, because she met some of these people in the process at the court, and in some instances she met their families when she didn't meet them in general. Let's see. Evan Gershkovich's friends pop bottles, burst into tears. My heart is full is the quote. Justin Trudeau calls the prisoners' release an immense relief because a couple of them, I think, were Canadian or Canadian visa holders. Putin embraces Krasikov and other released Russians as they arrive in Moscow, or at least one of his body doubles does. And it just, yeah. Stoltenberg hailed the prisoner swap as a victory for diplomacy. Let me tell you, okay, on the side note, this is all awesome, but let me tell you what I think is actually happening as well. Russia is in really bad shape. Their economy is tanking. Their society is it's a mess, and there's no coming back. And at some point, this is going to result in, because they're going to lose in Ukraine, that they are, I mean, after the slaughter of the Wagner guys in Mali, it does not look good for them in any area of the world, including Syria and other places where they were siding with Iran and getting their ass kicked. It's bad. It's all bad. And when this goes down, when nobody knows, and we talk about this with Philip Bittner all the time, that when Russia goes, it goes all at once. Right? It seems like nothing's happening, and then boom, right? Yes, there's a very strong chance the Russian Federation will break up. There's a very strong chance that it will be talking about Moscova as a country, and the rest of it, like parts of it, seized by China. There's a bunch of shit. It could go, and nobody knows when. It could be in the next year or whatever. But it's over the, it's definitely on the precipice. There's no question. And if we'll know basically on how things turn in Ukraine. Period. That if the Ukrainians seize Crimea, it's a matter of days. Just know that for a fact. And as a matter of fact, it's really scary when your country can be toppled by one loss of foreign soil. Imagine, if you will, if the British royal family was on the precipice of collapsing because of the Falkland Islands. You understand? Like, it's that kind of thing. Relying on that, something so far outside your control, not something inside your country, but something outside your country. That happens, you're done. Right? That's where they are right now. That's where the precipice is. And it's very close. So if you have a prisoner in that country, and if you have a prisoner of theirs they will exchange to any country in the world, now is the time to get your people out and give them whatever assholes they want. Because those people, once the country falls, those people are fucked. Anybody who's still in a prison, it's going to be a mess. I don't know that. And who's going to show up for work at a Russian prison if the government falls? Wouldn't you just stay home and protect your family? Or blow the fucking place up? Or both? Right? That's the kind of, all the prepper nonsense we see over here is really happening over there right now. So, that is why, by the way, that is why there is such a rush to get these people out now. And why the Biden administration puts so much on it. Now, one of the other statements, let's see, is it this one? Yeah. He gets asked a question. He finishes up and he's leaving. And there's one last question that they ask him.
As a father, are you speaking with Erdogan or any of the leaders about this?
Say that again?
Are you speaking with President Erdogan or other leaders about this?
Yes, I've spoken to all the leaders about this.
What did you say to President
And by the way, as a father, look, you heard me say this before. I mean it. My dad's a simple proposition. Family is the beginning, the middle, and the end. Blood of my blood, bone of my bone. I can think of nothing more
He's so fucking Irish, it's great.
consequential. I mean it sincerely. And having lost family, not a different way, and not knowing what's happening, the circumstance when they're accidental, health, it matters.
Mr. President, what did Germany ask for in response for their cooperation?
Nothing.
President Biden.
What did Chancellor Scholz say?
President Trump has said repeatedly that he could have gotten the hostages out without giving anything in exchange. What do you?
By the way, look at the smile start to creep across his face as soon as somebody brings up Trump, because he knows whatever they say, it's gonna be a giant pile of bullshit. Look at this. Look, it's like President Trump says, and you can just see him going, "This motherfucker."
Say to that? What do you say to President Trump now, former president?
Why didn't he do it when he was president?
Sir, what did Chancellor
Also, can I just also say, real quick, his back has been stiff as shit for the last year because he clearly needs surgery. He's probably going to have it over Christmas. He desperately needs back surgery from either his injury or something else, and they're not going to do it while he's president or while he's focused on this until the election. They were never going to do it even when he was running. They're more than likely they were going to go, like if you win the election, then over Christmas, then you can get your back surgery while everybody's freaking out, right? Before you get sworn in and da-da-da. Okay, more than likely, that seemed to be the trajectory. If you notice, though, since he's no longer running, he doesn't walk as stiff anymore either. I gotta say, it relaxed him. You can tell. So it's, this is just a big, yes, it was a definite big FU to everybody involved. And it's just such a great, and he leans back, because he's having this conversation with him because he knows it's mostly print journalism that he's talking to, who's yelling these questions. And so he just kind of talks off to the side and whatever. And he knows his voice is quiet. But on this one,
gotten the hostages out without
this one, he leans back to the microphone. Just make sure everybody fucking hears this.
giving anything in exchange. What do you say to that? What do you say to President Trump now, former president?
Why didn't he do it when he was president?
Sir, what did you say?
And he's like, why didn't he do it when he's president? All right, see you later. Yeah. Just a fucking, honest to God, if Carter had a little more Biden in him, he'd have been a two-termer. And if Biden had run instead of Hillary, we would have never had Trump, and Hillary could be running right now. Or a year, 4 years from now. Well, no, it would have been now. It would have been now. Because he would have won. He would have beat Trump the first time. And Hillary could have, if she'd have run this time, she would have won. This time. Just saying. Even if, even if Trump ran again or some shit, he'd still mop the floor with him. I'm just saying. Such a good, huge mic drop. Fantastic stuff. Now, now, I want to check in on something. So we haven't done a Bongholio video in a long time. By the way, hit that like, subscribe, infotainmentwars.com. We don't need the documents. We have everything memorized. We haven't done a Bongholio clip in a while because he's chickened out from releasing clips anymore because guys like me, specifically me, were grabbing his clips and, as my dad would say, stomping a mud hole in them and marching them dry. Because if you think he's dumb in an hour format, it's even worse in short doses. It gets dumber the more you focus in, right? But one of the storylines there are two divergent storylines happening in MAGA world right now. One is cleaning up after J.D. Vance being a shit candidate, period. He's just awful. He's not popular. He's not picking up any of the slack from the voters that Trump has lost or whatever. It was an ego choice. It was dumb. It was Don Jr. and Eric trying to squeeze some money out of Peter Thiel and forcing him onto the ticket. It's just pathetic. And then on the other side, of course, is Donald Trump, and we covered this in its entirety. His Association of Black Journalists, the National Association of Black Journalists, when he basically just shit the bed, just being an asshole to Rachel Scott, who, by the way, we at Hal Sparks Megaworldwide, and I mean you guys and me, because that's the we here, are huge Rachel Scott stans. And why she doesn't have a show already, other than her contract with ABC, on MSNBC, I don't know. Some of those folks that had their knives out for Biden, it's time to broom them, and she can have Katie Tur's spot or Chris Jansen's spot. Shit, she could have, as far as I'm concerned, she could have Morning Joe's spot at this point, honestly. But I don't feel like she should have to get up that early. I feel like she should be able to sleep late and finish work early because she's earned it. Other than that, I have no opinion. Now, what's the big cleanup, of course, is this business. When he was speaking at this thing and he does this whole Harris isn't really black weirdness. Everybody on the right wing reacted just like everybody on the left wing reacted with what the hell is wrong with this dude? Right? But that's not MAGA's job. MAGA's job is to clean up after this moron. to walk around behind him like the elephant, the sick elephant with diarrhea in the parade that he is, with a giant shovel or a pan and a mop, and just scoop this stuff back into it. And then I don't know how they get rid of it. Most of them seem to gargle it. But here we go. This is Bongholio. Or else maybe here you go. That's Bongholio right there, ladies and gentlemen. He seems fine. By the way, you look at his face, he seems fine. I know you're thinking, hey, what's to be upset about? A lot. Okay, here we go. This is his, I guess, attempted cleanup.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Narratives that change your pre-existing notion of who a candidate is. Kamala Harris is running as this, straight-laced prosecutor now, because she knows it's the only thing that can save her from her terrible liberal image on the border.
Yeah, no. Just for the record. Also, they're trying to point to her as the border czar, which she was not. But her goal was stemming the tide of illegal immigration coming from other countries through outreach to these countries and the like. And she was able to do that. But that kind of job takes a while, right? That is a systemic, or instead of dealing with the circumstance of the disease as opposed to the symptoms that she was dealing with.
She's running as a straight edge prosecutor who put the bad guys in jail. You don't take my word for it. Go look at her campaign ads.
Also, why would this be surprising? Why would anybody go, you fucking liar? By the way, the lie wouldn't be what her ads are. The lie would be your idea that she's hiding from something else. You're making that part up. Her decision to run on a particular aspect of her record or run on a particular element of her personality is her choice. What he's making up is why she's choosing that over something else. I'm just saying.
A lot of suckers are going to...
Because he's a stupid person.
...going to believe this. What is really destructive to that narrative? That not only is she not a straight edge, she is a liar and a fraud, and she will say anything to anyone. She's not...
Oh, all right. By the way, this is the right-wing cleanup on the whole Trump, she wasn't black, she was Indian, and now she's all black and she turned black thing. What they're trying to turn this into is he's just pointing out that she's a liar. Well, or that she'll say anything to get elected. Well, then why not say that instead of denigrating every biracial person in the country and, of course, denigrating the black side of her family? Her father is Jamaican. He wouldn't be an African American. He would be black because he's from Jamaica. And So, by the way, is there anywhere among the Charlie Kirk world where she would be considered white in any way? Of course not. Right. And also the black jobs thing, the reason he says black jobs, and they said, what are black jobs? He said, anybody who has a job, is because white people have careers. Black people do jobs. Cleaning a house is a job. It's not a career. Cleaning toilets is a job. That's what Donald Trump thinks about black people. Do you understand what I'm saying? They don't have careers. There's a rare one, like Bongholio here, who will kiss his ass and he'll play with them for a while. But overall, as a race, he assumes black jobs are exactly that. They are jobs, not careers. Toil.
Not only not being straight with people, she's a flip-flopper. People are getting lost in the racial component of this. Don't.
Please don't. Please don't pay attention to the racial component of this, because it sounds like he's being a racist piece of shit. Because he is. But don't focus on that. Let me swap this bag of sand for this golden idol.
Trump's making a different point. The race hustlers.
Is he? Wait a minute. The race hustlers, you mean the black women on the panel, they're the ones turning it on him? He didn't have to bring up race at all to talk about her record or the fact that she'll say anything to get elected or whatever the narrative he wants. You don't have to bring up her skin color, her background, or her country of origin that her parents are from at all, do you? Why would you have to? Can anyone think of a legit reason why you would even have to bring that shit up? To convey the idea that your opponent in an election will say anything to get elected. Especially if you're saying the border is such a huge issue. Well, of course you would have to if you're in a room full of black people and your brain is screaming the word black inside your head. Because that's what we're talking about. Yes, and this is the lamest damage control, but they're all doing it. They're all doing it.
Just want to make it a racial issue. Listen to this, you'll see what I mean.
Yes, you'll see what I mean. It might seem like a racial issue.
I've known her a long time indirectly, not directly very much, and she was always of Indian heritage. And
by the way, indirectly, she was always of Indian heritage. We've all seen this. Well, I did the whole thing. If you want to watch it, it was all day yesterday. That was the show. No, she wasn't. She's of mixed race. She will talk about both sides of her family because she's proud of both sides of her family. That would seem to be the way. When you're talking about one side of it, you're not hiding the other. I don't even know why I'm defending this, but I just want to make this really clear.
she was only promoting Indian heritage. I didn't know she was black.
By the way, horseshit.
Until a number of years ago when she happened to turn black, and now she wants to be known as black. So I don't know, is she Indian or is she black?
She has always
But you know
identified
what?
as a black woman. She went to a historically black college.
I respect either one, but she obviously doesn't. Because she was Indian all the way, and then all of a sudden she made a turn, and she became a black person.
Just to be clear, sir, do
And
you
I
believe that
think
she is
somebody should look into that too when you ask, continue in a very hostile, nasty tone.
That's the other thing too, is like, I gotta say, there are very few things that are as hostile and nasty without broaching into even worse shit as questioning someone's skin color, especially a minority, from like a position of wealth and privilege like this asshole, who, again, is orange by choice, and then to attack the woman asking you the question just about, her as a candidate. And then, here, look at this asshole. Cannot wait to throw himself in front of Trump's bus.
You are entirely missing the point again. And if
look, don't let the fact that he spoke of nothing but race and brought up that she was Indian and now she's black and didn't point out the fact that she has one parent of each heritage and that's life. And in this country, she would be perceived as black, not Indian anyways. If you had to ask, you saw someone across the room, you wouldn't immediately go, oh, she's clearly Indian, right? You would say she's clearly black because which is different than, I suppose, Nikki Haley, which is the point they're trying to make, is that, in the jump ball of racial classification, you would go, yeah, she looks like, she's a beautiful woman. I would guess she was black. That would be my guess. But I would be willing to be surprised. Like one of those weird people in those 23andMe ads where like, I had no idea I was Swedish. Really, blonde lady? Yeah.
Do you think I'm one of these people that reflexively defends stuff so we lose an election?
Yes. You are exactly that person. That's why you lost in 2020, dipshit.
And I'm going to hide a damaging incident. You are listening to the wrong show. I have said to you repeatedly when I think things hurt and sting a little bit.
But this absolutely does not. There was nothing wrong with this take, this presentation, and the language used. Nothing. Okay? He would be the first person to tell you if he thought it's even stung a little bit. Look,
You are reading this thing all wrong
See, what is wrong with you folks?
again, and I'm sure I'll be proven right.
Oh, you mean like you were with the parlor leak?
Trump is not making a racial point. He
Yeah, he is. Yes, he is.
He's using Kamala Harris's take on her own race to make a different point.
No, he isn't. Because her dad is actually black. You're not talking about Rachel Dolezal, you dumb motherfucker. What the hell?
That again, liberals continue to miss. The same liberals who keep getting their asses kicked by Trump and wondering why.
He has lost every election since he won in 2016. And he lost the popular vote then too. Whose ass is he kicking? I'm dead serious.
You all right, Justin? You look like you have something to say for the show. Okay, Justin, look, he's just walking on the set here like he's got something to say for the show. He thinks it's like a handoff, like Walter Payton taking a handoff for the game. He's making the point that Kamala Harris will say anything to anyone to get a vote.
Then say that without bringing up her race. Right? That would be the simplest fix if, and again, if you're not an aging racist piece of shit. It would seem really fucking easy to, I think everybody, I have never in an argument had to bring up someone's sex, their race, their identity in any way. If they're full of shit, just attack the fact that they're full of shit. Especially if they're as full of shit as you say they are.
Could he have said it differently? Of course.
No, of course not. He can't say it differently. You know why? Because he's a racist piece of shit. That's why. He's incapable. He can't do it. Thank God, by the way. Thank God there is no version of Trump that does this better. Because if there was, if he could say it differently, he would say it differently. And if he could say it differently in a way that would sneak it by, he might actually have a chance of winning this fucking election, which he does not. He's going to lose, and it's going to be painful and hilarious, and we will be full of joy, and he will be a blithering mess, and his followers might do some awful shit. That is my biggest concern. But he is incapable of speaking about in normal political terms without being sexist, racist, or just fucking dumb. Can't do it. So the idea that, could he have said it better? Sure. No, he couldn't have. Because he'd have to be a whole different person.
Is everything come out like Shakespearean prose? No.
All right. This is what I would call the perfection fallacy. You ever been in an argument with somebody? They made a joke about it in Dumb and Dumber, actually. Well, I suppose you never make a mistake, Mr. Perfect. So you use perfection as the line. Instead of dealing with the criticism you're getting, you set the bar really absurdly high, and you accuse the other person of insisting that you make the high jump. Right? You go, oh, well, I suppose everybody's supposed to just, do a standing jump of 9 feet, right? That's how it is? Well, I'm sorry, he can't do that. Nobody can, asshole. We're talking in real human terms. He is absolutely, in theory, as a Wharton graduate and a businessman and a former president, he should be capable of, even in his colloquial vernacular, not being a racist piece of shit, even while he talks, even if he is. Right. Our pets' heads are falling off.
But the sane people out there get what he's saying. No one believes Trump's a racist. No, you could keep saying it. Nobody believes it.
No, a lot of people believe it. You know who? Especially his family. I'm dead serious. Like, I've obviously said he's a racist. I believe it. But I have what I would call a healthy skepticism in all of my beliefs until they are proven right in front of me. But by all the evidence that I've seen, sounds like it fits, it quacks like a duck, okay? But his own family, who lived around him and heard him drop N-bombs all the time, if you ask them, they're fully committed. Way more than you or I, even as much as we believe that he's a racist, could be committed to it, right? I would go with, and again, him and his father refusing to rent to black people. That would maybe. But you listen to Mary Trump or Fred Trump IV, they'll tell you who he really is. And they've spent more time with him than either of us have, me or him. I've never been around Trump. He's been around him a bunch of times, but nowhere near the quota of Mary and Fred Trump.
It's not real. It's fake.
No, it's real. And the fact that you have to argue that it's fake after a clip like that means you don't believe it either. You know how I told you there's a healthy skepticism until I see something right in front of me that I always have, but I'll go pretty far down this road and feel comfortable in saying it out loud. He's in the same situation. In the back of his mind, or in the front, or wherever the biggest gap is, he knows Trump is a racist. He's hoping it's not true. He's projecting that it can't be because I like the guy, and therefore he must like me.
He's making the point that Kamala Harris will say anything to anyone.
Then why doesn't he just say that? Why doesn't he bring up a policy or a debate moment or a case that she presided over or an argument she made while she was running for AG? Why not bring that up? I mean, you could also, I suppose he could bring up the fact that he considered himself a Democrat until he ran as a Republican, and that his own VP called him, said he could be America's Hitler, and he's a demagogue and a sociopath and a shithead, and has changed his mind. So again, this feels like projection. Feels like he's trying to muddy the waters.
One. I'm not going to play the stuff Kamala Harris saying she's Indian or black. I don't care what she doesn't matter to me.
Well, that's because she's both. She's both. She's both. So it should matter to you because according to Trump, she's neither. And according to you, she's neither because you're saying she will say anything to anybody just to get elected. So she will talk about, the essence has to be, if that's what you're saying, if that's the argument he's making, then the part about her being black, her father's side of the family, is a lie. That's what has to be true for this argument to work.
The point is, Kamala Harris has a documented history of saying anything to anyone to get elected. Defund the police. Don't defund the police.
Yeah, that's a policy change. That's not saying that. And by the way, in saying that, she didn't get elected. That was not the will of the people. In a representative government, she had a moment where she was like, okay, we'll do that. And by the way, she didn't do defund the police. I think the further she went was cash bail, right? She was one of the early proponents of the idea of no cash bail. And again, you can have a policy disagreement with that. I certainly do. But for that, her realizing I don't represent just one district or one group of activists within a district. I am now running for a national office. That's how it goes. There's nothing wrong with that part of it. Moving to center. Everybody does it. Trump is attempting to do it right now.
I hate fracking. We love fracking. We love union workers. Well, government jobs, not so much.
All right, I don't know what the fuck that even means. Government jobs, not so much? What do you mean? What, she's suddenly against the federal workers union?
Say anything.
No, you just made up half of what you said.
That was the point.
No, it wasn't. The point was, he was in front of a bunch of black people, and he thought he could drive a wedge between her and the other black people by saying she's not pure black. Because that's how he used to drive a wedge between people that liked him and Obama by saying he was half white, but don't give him credit for the half white. He's all black. This is just a flip flop of that strategy. It's gross. It's racist.
And Trump, as always,
is an asshole. Is just an asshole. And thank God, again, thank God he's incapable of being anything but an asshole. Because if he was better at this, we'd be in deep shit.
completely 100% misjudged and underestimated by his opponents.
He lost in 2020 by a lot to a guy you say never left his basement.
Jeremy Carl here, by the way, I don't really know, but he makes a great point here on X as well.
Great. Yeah, yes, that's where you want to go for backup in your argument. Go to Twitter. You can't say it yourself?
Trump goes out and talks to hostile audiences. He'll talk to anyone, anywhere. He doesn't need a focus group. He doesn't need cue cards.
He doesn't need to insist that Harris Faulkner be on the panel. Oh, wait. He doesn't need to, he doesn't need his staff to cut it off at the halfway point when he was supposed to do an hour and leave after 35 minutes, 32 minutes.
He'll talk to anyone. And
He'll talk at anyone.
People respect it. I'm not saying any politician can get away with what Trump does. They couldn't. I'm telling you right now.
Hey, asshole, if he was getting away with it, you wouldn't have to be carrying his balls right now. You do realize he's not getting away with it. That's why you have to swoop in and do cleanup. He's not getting away with it. Everybody was like, fuck you. What an asshole. And you're like, no. I'll get it. Yikes. So anyways, there's a whole hour show or whatever of that. But you can that gives you a good example, I think, of the sort of cleanup that they're having to do right now. Now, let me show you. We don't dip into these idiots very often, too. I was just kind of enjoying the fact that. All right. There's a group of people. By the way, you're watching Hal Sparks Megaworldwide. Like, subscribe, give a thumbs up, share the show. Patreon.com/HalSparks. There's a Venmo over there if you want to support the show. And thank you guys. You can become members. Thank you, like Angela did. Angela is a member on YouTube. Thank you so much. And on Twitch, if you have Amazon Prime, you can subscribe, and it doesn't cost you a dime. Now, there are some Trump sycophants out there that seem to follow him because they. Daddy issues, I guess, primarily might be the idea. And that would be the dudes at Valuetainment, which is I gotta say, sounds more dollar store by the day. But this, what's his name? Patrick, Peanut Butter Davis. Yeah. This guy, he goes, 10 days to ditch. Trump's VP drama. Is J.D. Vance about to be dropped? Now, they are of the belief that J.D. Vance is a fucking home run. So the idea that they're even entertaining this is glorious. And I think I'm not sure, but I think they're taking the 10 days thing is from Schumer. But let's see. Let's see. It's very exciting.
The Newsweek story. Donald Trump has about 10 days to replace J.D. Vance. Okay, so Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer stated that Trump has about 10 days to replace J.D. Vance as his running mate if he chooses. Amid reports, Trump regrets.
By the way, when you can tell when somebody's reading something they're excited about or versus something they're not excited to be reading? You know what I mean? How old is this? This is today. This is, this is yesterday. This is last night.
That's the choice. Now, this is rumors they're creating. Schumer criticized that this.
By the way, this is his little adjunct. Check this shit out. This is rumors they are creating.
Amid reports, Trump regrets the choice. Now, this is rumors they're creating. Schumer criticized the decision, saying the addition of J.D. Vance to this ticket is incredibly a bad choice.
Also, by the way, referencing rumors that are going around is not them creating this rumor. This rumor has been out, and apparently in Trump world, they're very angry at Kellyanne Conway because they think she's the one leaking stuff about him not being happy with JD Vance. Just letting you know.
Trump is sitting there scratching his head and wondering, why did I pick this guy? Trump's campaign, however, denied any intention to replace Vance communications director Stephen Chang.
Oh, by the way, one of the best ways Democrats can make Trump dig in his support for JD Vance is to say he's thinking about dropping him, because he can't ever be wrong and he can't admit a mistake. So the easiest way to make sure he doesn't swap this asshole out is to go, he's thinking about swapping him out, because he will always, even if he was, and it's an honest report, once the rumor gets out, he will defend JD Vance. No, it was great. I have the best words.
Said,
I know the best
President
people.
Trump is thrilled with the choice he made with Senator Vance, and any reporting to the contrary is nothing but ridiculous fake news. Political scientist Mitchell Brown noted that while Trump could replace Vance before ballot deadlines, it would all involve the Republican National Committee and be complicated by stability, the time it takes to gear up.
Can I also say real quick, I'll let us continue, but remember that conversation we were talking about before Biden dropped out about like what would it entail? Oh my God, if Kamala drops out, and who would replace, and all that stress we were going through? 9 days is the deadline, so they could get him on all the ballots. And by the way, if the Republican National, if Trump said he was going to do it, the Republican National Convention, be damned, they would just sign off on it. He wouldn't even have to court the delegates or any of that shit. They would just automatically do it. They would just sign a piece of paper. They don't give a shit.
A campaign and run a good campaign. By the way, this is also happening when a story comes out by Peter Thiel saying he is elated.
Isn't it Teal?
By the JD Vance pick and warms to Trump. Again, keep in mind, Peter Thiel had a little bit distanced himself from Trump, and he had other people that he wanted to be.
Yeah, but he also bought an oil rig and was going to declare it a country so he could live on it tax-free. Just letting you know. And he decided not to because he couldn't get together a security force to protect himself, and he would probably just get, like, pirates would just kill him and everybody there and just take all of his money and stuff, and he couldn't sign a security agreement with the United States from a offshore oil rig like an asshole and still live in whatever Silicon Valley or wherever his actual house is.
The president instead of Trump, but now he has rekindled the support for Trump after him choosing J.D. Vance, one of Thiel's close political allies, as his running mate. Thiel expressed cautious optimism about a second term, saying, "It makes me more hopeful that a second term Trump will be better than the first."
How is that possible? It's not possible. How could you be better than the first term? What is wrong with you? Do you even MAGA, bro?
Despite his renewed support, Thiel remained non-committal about making significant financial contributions. I went on record saying I would not give money to super PACs, and I have to stick to that. He believes Trump and Vance will win by solid margin, adding, "I think Trump and JD will crush the election by solid margin, 4% or 5% of the
Nope.
popular vote." Adam.
Well, Peter,
If you believe that, why not give your money to the super PAC? I mean, honestly, it's not like you're going to lose, right?
Thiel's no lightweight. This is somebody that's been on and off the Trump train for the last 8 years or so. This is an initial, original PayPal mafia, Silicon Valley billionaire. When he speaks, you should definitely be listening. So he's got a lot of credibility when he talks about JD Vance.
Oh, you mean like about like gay marriage, maybe? I mean, his husband's name is Matt. So.
There's definitely been stories coming out.
And by the way, I don't know who this is. These are just the guys who are his co-hosts on Peanut Butter Davis's show.
About, well, is Trump happy with his pick, not happy with his pick? At this point, I think it would be a horrible look for Trump to reverse the decision. He went through.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's horrible. Anytime you rethink anything, it's bad. It shows weakness. So absolutely double down. I mean, it would look bad. Not as bad as losing because the guy's an anchor on your campaign, but you know.
A vetting process, almost apprentice-like, saying, you know, Marco Rubio, you are not the VP. Doug Burgum, you are not the VP.
That's not how it went at all. That's not what he did. He didn't release people from it over time. He waited till the last fucking minute, and then he called JD Vance and said, "You're it." It wasn't even, it didn't even have the apprentice or, and I guess, a bachelor kind of a storyline to it at all.
And then obviously JD Vance was there. Now, why
obviously
is JD Vance a viable VP? Who does he attract?
Yeah, it's a question no one's been able to ask or answer, rather, including Donald Trump.
He wrote the book, The Hillbilly Elegy, right?
Yes, I remember that. You guys remember The Hillbilly Elegy. 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 That's what you're going by. Hey, man, look, I have issues with pronunciation, okay? But I have never, and I mean never, fucked up like that. Elegy? Elegy. She's the butter queen, isn't she? I'm about to get you some elegy. That's good stuff. I'm wearing an elegy string right now. Elegy. Shut up.
Elegy. And
well, at least he fixed it.
And where he carries weight is that Midwest Rust Belt.
Yeah, he carries weight there. Whatever. Yeah.
The paycheck to paycheck American worker, manufacturing's been gone. The Rust Belt's been basically.
Why? He left, went to Yale, and then he went to Silicon Valley to join an industry that is not known for making physical things at all.
Ruined the Ohios of the world, the Michigans of the world.
Or just Ohio. There aren't the Ohios and the Michigans of the world. Of the world.
Pennsylvanias of the world.
Why don't you just say Ohio, Michigan, and Pennsylvania? Why don't you just say the Rust Belt of the world? Really? They destroyed the Ohio of Central Asia as well?
Everything in that Rust Belt, this is who he's going to identify with. And if you don't believe me, listen to what your
Pennsylvania, Pakistan, is that what we're looking
friend, the pollster, had to say. What was the guy that you did a thing with Vinny on Pierce Morgan? Frank Lutz? Yeah. He said, he actually did some polling. He said he defended Trump's choice of J.D. Vance as his VP candidate, emphasizing Vance's appeal to the paycheck voter. He chose to
paycheck to paycheck voter. Paycheck to pay, not paycheck twice. Isn't that weird? That's weird. That's kind of weird.
Double down, and J.D. Vance comes from the background that Trump's focusing on, so he's credible. And he's got the language because this is how he grew up. So here you have...
What do you mean? You think he speaks dipshit? Is that the idea? How does Trump not already have those people? That's arguably... supposedly who brought him into power in the first fucking place. Did he lose them? Is he trying to get them back after he tried to kill Mike Pence?
Whether it's Kamala basically pandering to the LGBT, abortion, trans community, or you have...
by the way, that's his translation for caring about women's rights and workers' rights. That's pandering to that crowd, yeah.
J.D. Vance, who's basically identifying with the average American working class.
Yes, basically identifying with the average American working class. He's not one of them. He's never had a job like that in his fucking life.
But
he identifies. That's the important. It's really, what is it when you use your identity for political purposes? It's identity. I'll remember it later.
The American working class is who you should be focusing on, not this other nonsense. So I think...
Yeah, the nonsense. Granted, Biden was the first president to stand on a union picket line, and the UAW just endorsed Harris. So it might be, maybe it's not working, I think.
He's not going anywhere.
Tom, J.D. Vance.
J.D. Vance, this story.
By the way, that's how you want the VP conversation to go. J.D. Vance, yeah, if your VP choice makes every defender of your ticket sound like they're mid shit, you're in trouble. I'm just saying. J.D. Vance, he's like, you know what he's like? He's like an all cheese diet and no coffee. That's what he's like. He's like he's the kind of VP you need when you have to use a broomstick after.
Is being used by the left because have there been issues with J.D. Vance? Yes.
Wait a minute. What? Hold on. Sorry, I bumped myself in that. Like, I mind. Don't even do that. That's so weird when you get all cartoony. It's just weird. Run that by me again. Tell me about J.D. Vance, dude. This is his defender.
J.D. Vance.
J.D. Vance, this story is being used by the left because have there been issues with J.D. Vance? Yes.
I don't think so.
They dug up a lot of opposition research and some very bombastic things he said. Yes.
Also, dug up a bunch of opposition research? No, they did not. They're just replaying podcasts. They didn't dig up a bunch of shit. They didn't go back through policy papers and find something that he worded wrong or something. They just looked at live on camera interviews. That's not dug up, you dumb motherfucker.
Like, his wife and what she said or didn't say or won't say about Trump. Yes.
Wait a second. First of all, that's not opposition research on our side. That's problems you guys have. Secondly, why is it to leave his fucking wife out of this? Talk about what he said. And believe me, he's dug a deep enough hole that his wife standing next to him with a spoon, like taking a little bit of dirt every so often, has no impact.
All of that's there. But what the left is doing is the same thing that the right was doing with the Biden health. If you keep that story live, living, and as a fog, just up there, sparks and smoke and distraction, then it prevents people from talking.
Now, I always appreciate a name check.
About real issues. So if you can keep the story of, are you going to replace J.D. Vance? You saw what he said about you. You saw what he did. Saw what he did. The left is doing a very good job of that. And
thank you. Thanks very much. Thanks. I wouldn't call it the left. I would just say Democrats. It's not even, you're going to have to go that far for it. He's just an asshole, and it's pretty easy. It's not like they're consulting the little red book.
And the pamphlet for the DNC, Newsweek, is out there.
See that? Newsweek is the pamphlet for the DNC. Also, no, it isn't. I know you want to shit on Newsweek, but Newsweek is the magazine that has like a "What was Jesus really like?" article about every 3 months.
They're trying to propagate the story and keep it going. So because that way it distracts from being able to talk about things like the border,
Why? Here's a good idea. Why don't you go, he's fine, he's going to be great, I'm not worried about it, people will see the reality because the border, the blah, blah, blah. Then you do that, dum-dum.
Economy, interest rates, and the things that Trump wants to do to move the ball forward.
What would those things be? I understand he bitches about those things, but what would the policy be besides drill, baby, drill, which he has absolutely no ability to do because the government doesn't drill for oil? So what besides drill, baby, drill, which is a meaningless platitude, what's his plan for bringing down interest rates besides I'll bring down interest rates?
So when you create a distraction and keep people talking about something, it prevents people from talking about real issues. So
nobody is stopping you from talking about real issues. You know what's preventing this guy talking about real issues and what Trump wants to do? He has no fucking idea. That's what. That's what's preventing all these guys. That's why they're talking about J.D. Vance and they're not talking about Trump's policies, because he doesn't have any. He doesn't have a plan for any of this shit.
Is there some real things in J.D. Vance's background that are popping up? Yes. But they're using it with a replacement story to create even more fire out of it? Yes.
Thanks, bro. Great stuff. Really, fucking nailed it. I feel like that was the longest minute and a half of my life, I think.
I'm being honest. I don't know. I didn't get as deep as, I didn't do that much research about JD Vance.
So it's a regular day at work for you? Cool.
But just from a personal looking from the outside in, there's just something that in here in my heart is off with that guy. I don't know what it is. And the fact that at the end of the day, Pat, if I talked like this to you,
this is when you know it's going well.
What to you, not to you, to your face, but to Tom. Tom, you know what? I would never ever work for a guy like this. He just overall, he's the worst thing for any company. He's just a scumbag. I don't like cops. I don't like this. And then one day I'm just like, you know what? I'm gonna be your guy. I'm gonna be with you. To me, Pat should never trust me 100%, because that's how you really feel. I get what Adam was saying, Adam, that people change their points of view, but that feeling in there, once you have that Trump derangement system that you hate Trump because you were brainwashed to, I still...
All right. We almost had a moment with this guy, and then it became Trump derangement syndrome. Here, let me help clean this up for you a little, if I may. Let's say Trump felt that way about Jeffrey Epstein, hated his fucking guts, and then once he went to jail, he was all of a sudden like, this guy's innocent, people should leave him alone. Is that a little closer to it? I mean, it's not a good analogy, obviously, because Trump was friends with the dude till the very end, if he indeed is even dead, and he wished the guy's madam / human trafficking recruiter well.
Can't trust you 100%.
Making it super personal is different from saying, I don't agree with Tom on taxing tariffs.
Yeah, exactly. But saying, I don't like him and this, and you'll look at the history of what he has said.
This is going very well. I mean, come on. This is exactly how, can you imagine, this is what, I mean, because Don Jr.'s been on this show. There's all the assholes. Fucking Candace Owens has been on the show. Jimmy Dore has been on the show. This is a hangout for complete pricks who, if they had their head further up Trump's ass, they'd have a fish delight in each eyeball. But in the meantime, yeah, because everybody signs a locker, including Mike Flynn, who's I think on one of these other ones. All these folks, show up at the, I don't know where, this train station or this boys' locker room, wherever they have this. All these guys, they've had all these folks on. This is exactly how they wanted the J.D. Vance conversation to go a month ago. Like, they were thinking about this, and they're like, oh, this is awesome. This is the best. He's so good at it. Trump knows what he's doing. He's picking the perfect dude. That's what they were saying a month ago. And I wish I had a time machine that also had one of those Men in Black flashy things with it, so I could fly back. I could go back in time, show these guys a clip of this, watch them go, oh fuck, man, he's gonna choose him, and it's just gonna be shit. Oh my God, J.D. Vance is terrible. What an awful fucking choice. We gotta call Trump right now. What happened? Just so they have that moment, but they never call him and change it. Like, it'd be so.
The chances that Trump knew these comments before these
100%. He had to.
100%. Okay.
Yeah,
what are the chances that they have?
What? Why?
Had a conversation. Hey, man, this is what I'm expecting of you.
100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
What are the chances?
Why 100%? Based on what, asshole? Trump has said 3 times by my count so far, that's the first I've heard of it, about stuff that J.D. Vance has said. Stuff that everybody knows at this point. This is the first I've heard of it.
that Trump and him had a conversation. Hey, man, I know you said this. This is where I'm at now. Here's what I need from you. I feel like Trump knew all of this.
Yeah, that's because you're an idiot. Based on fucking what? His hiring of Rex Tillerson or Jeff Sessions or Chris Wray or John Kelly? Oh, PBD stands for Peanut Butter Davis, the guy, the Peter Ben Davis, Peter Bastard Davis, whatever his name is. That's PBD is him. That's the PBD podcast on valuetainment.
So as much as we want to say, oh, I don't like him or not, Trump's a marketer. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah. I mean, that's why we're all drinking Trump water and eating Trump steaks every day, and why we have Trump frozen dinners and we fly Trump airlines and we watch in the Olympics. We're watching the entire Trump team play Trump football in front of the entire world because it's been added to the fucking Olympics. And we're watching it live from the sportsbook area of Trump Casino. The fuck out of here. What are you talking about? That's why The Apprentice is still on the air. He's a terrible marketer. He lost last time to a guy you said never left the basement.
If Trump is going to win, he needs to flip those Midwestern independent voters who voted for him in 16 but didn't vote for him in 20. And how is he going to appeal to those guys?
So here's...
Yeah, it ain't going to be J.D. Vance, dum-dum. Those people voted for Nikki Haley. And they didn't vote because of a policy difference. They threw away their vote in 2016 thinking, what the fuck is the problem? We need an outsider. He's a businessman. He was an unknown entity. And then after they got to know him, they're like, fuck this dude.
And the reality is, here's a guy.
Look at the, oh God, I just got to say, we rarely do clips from the show, but look at his fucking face. Oh, it's so good. Come on, guys. Do you think this is what they thought they were going to be sitting around discussing when he picked J.D. Vance, or even when he was floating other people? Ah, look at that. Ah, it's so good. It's just, I mean, come on. Who's your buddy? Who? Come on. Who? Chat room, listen here. When I've been telling you a bunch of times, like, don't worry. Even when I get riled up, it's always from a point of view of being, pretty good-natured and laughing a lot of stuff off, because I believe in a very positive future. I'm an optimistic fellow. And sometimes I feel like I'm dragging the audience kicking and screaming down that road, right? And people are like, I don't know. This looks bad, right? And I'm like, trust me. And you're like, I don't know. And then 2 weeks later, wop, 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 wah. I mean, who? I mean, I'm just saying I love you, and I'm trying to make your life better. Trying to cheer you up. Let you know it's going to be okay. We still got work to do, but it's going to be okay. It's fucking... Oh, he's miserable. Look how fucking miserable. Just bitter. It's so good.
Guy that basically flipped just like them that can identify with them.
So let me tell you who this guy was.
Shit. That was, by the way, that dude spoke, but said nothing.
And why, he chose him. My opinion, okay?
Because John and Eric yelled at him. That's why he picked him, dum-dum. Stop fucking around. Call Don Jr. and go, was this your pick? Did you guys, pretend you like it. He'll take credit. Call Don Jr. and go, I love J.D. Vance. He's a great guy. Was that your idea? Don Jr. go, yeah. Guys. It was my guy. And Eric will be in the background going, I chose him. Because my dad, my father, who created the skyline of America.
Opinion. So this guy came up, and everybody from mainstream media had him on.
Yep.
2016, 17, 18. Why? because he was a Republican who hated Trump. And
Yeah, but there were a bunch of them back then.
you know the left loves that.
Of course.
So he got CNN, MSNBC. They bought his book. He was a hero. They made a movie about him.
Mm-hmm.
You think they would have made a movie about him? He said good things about Trump? No way. They made a movie about the guy with good actors and actresses because he trashed Trump.
Yeah.
Okay? That's why he got the movie. So
Okay. And still haven't gotten me to the part why Trump picked him.
but then he gets the movie. And then later on, he flips. And you know who warms up to him? Trump's son, Jr. Gets close to him. They're saying this is Junior's candidate that was
Oh, shit. Sorry. He has made the phone call. This asshole has made an angry phone call.
brought up to the father, okay, to say, you know,
Listen to the guys around. Oh, that explains why it's stupid. Oh, couldn't be the Don Sr. is not dumb, but Junior, fuck me, what an idiot.
oh, here's who he is. And when they did, and they started spending time together, anyways, his position changed. However, I got a bigger question for you.
What do you mean his position changed? How do you know? Your buddy was just saying, if you once a hater, always a hater. You look excited though.
So right now, the whole thing yesterday with Jesse Waters, where I'm like, Marcus Aurelius, they used to whisper, he had a slave that would sit right behind him to always tell him, hey, you're not as important as you think you are.
Remember, thou art mortal. It's the same. Have you watched History of the World Part 1?
Rob, can you pull up, what did the slave tell Marcus Aurelius every day?
Jesus Christ, is everybody trying to be Joe Rogan these days? Jamie, bring up the part about, bring up the quote that everybody knows but me right now. Jamie, put up on the big screen the quote that's on the tip of everybody's tongue, but since I run the place, they can't say it out loud without making me look like an asshole. Jamie, put it up there so we can all pretend that I knew it before everybody else. Jamie, if you could.
What did the slave tell Marcus Aurelius?
And this is
What's the famous quote?
He'd have one slave, like a main guy behind.
Remember thou art mortal?
Yeah, the guy's throwing it in there.
Yeah, remember.
I mean, I don't really know. I mean, it's maybe something like that. Something along those lines.
That you're going to die.
I would never, step over the line with you.
Or some quote like that. He would whisper something to him. What was it? You're just a man. You're just a man. You're just a man. This is what he would whisper to him, right?
All right. You are mortal, not you're just a man. Of Marcus Aurelius, who had a slave that would sit behind them and always whisper to him, hey, you're just a man, you're just a man, you're just a man. That's not what this is from TikTok, dumb fuck. That's the TikTok version of it. Look at, it says TikTok right there, you shithead. Remember thou art mortal.
Pretty awesome.
The slave would whisper to him in the back, hey, you're just a man, you're just a man, you're just a man. I said to Jesse yesterday, Trump needs to have somebody that whispers to him and says, you need to win over independence. You need to win over independence.
Yep.
You need.
For fuck's sake. Brilliant. This is, and it's such, you know what I love about it? It's such a one-to-one analogy. It's so, you know what I mean? It's hashtag too late.
To win over independence. Stop allowing MAGA to make you think they're everybody. They're not. So.
Ooh. Excuse me? Stop allowing MAGA to make you think they're everybody. They're not? Tell you what. Why don't you call him and tell him that? You got his phone number. You got 5.7 million subscribers on here. I only got 70K. I mean, mine are real, but that's not. Don't let that stop you. Call him up. Call Don Jr. and go tell your dad I said this, because he's going to get in trouble if he doesn't know it. Eric should be over his shoulder every day whispering, remember you need independence, remember you need independence, remember you need independence. And Trump will obviously turn to Eric and go, remember Gary Busey's your real dad. So.
Strategically, likability, I have my own opinions. That's a different story with JD.
So he's not likable, is your point. Just say it. Why are these guys such wusses?
Strategically, Here's what you have to ask yourself. Would you rather have a JD or a Nikki Haley?
JD.
By the way, JD.
Wait a minute. What do you mean, JD? That's the guy who just said if I ever spoke like that about Peanut Butter Davis over here, he should never hire me because once a hater, always a hater. Right? He's just a guy. What do you mean, JD? Fuck you. She at least said it like outwardly while she was campaigning against him.
Is a better version of Nikki Haley. But JD and Nikki Haley have an audience that Trump doesn't have. And that's
yeah. And he still doesn't have the Nikki Haley side of that audience.
why he needed JD. That's why everybody's like, I can't believe you were against Trump picking Vivek. I'm like the biggest Vivek guy. But Vivek's not going to bring him new voters that he didn't already have.
Exactly.
Vivek, the only reason Vivek wasn't the...
Well, and it'll also lose him voters because Republicans, especially the MAGA crowd, are not going to vote for anybody brown in the number 2 position unless they're they're 80 and the president is 40. Not the other way around. You nuts? Nobody's going to vote in a situation where Trump's as old as he is and you're going to have a brown dude in the 2nd position on the Republican side? Get the fuck out of here.
leading guy at the Republican debates and he wouldn't move up is because one guy had all the votes, and that's Trump.
Yeah.
Or else he would have lapped all of these guys, 7%, 8%.
Nope. You actually think that Republicans in general, especially the Trump crowd, were going to vote for Vivek? Ever? You're kidding, right? There is no MAGA without the Charlie Kirk crowd. You think Charlie Kirk is going to be okay with anybody brown on the ticket, dummy? I'm dead serious. There is no brown person on the ticket if Charlie Kirk's crowd and Matt Schlapp's crowd, CPAC and Turning Point, have any say at all.
Vivek was on a whole different league than DeSantis, Christie, all these other guys, right? But here's the thing. So he is a better version of Nikki Haley, okay? I don't know.
Whiter is what he means. Whiter and maler? Yeah, you're right. He's more white and male than Nikki Haley, which makes him, I think, on the Republican side, apparently automatically better.
I don't know if Trump trusts this guy 100%. I don't think he needs to.
He should. Here's the question. Was there an issue with Doug Burgum at all as far as trust goes? I think he had one kind of on the fence thing when he was running for office, but nowhere near that kind of shit. Marco Rubio, obviously people thought he was a rhino. That was never going to happen. I think Trump just included him so he could just debase himself, watch him debase himself again in front of Trump so he could, and then he'd kick him to the curb just to show how much power he had. And I guess Ted Cruz wouldn't fall for it, or he knew there was no chance he brought in any audience. That was it. Like even entertaining the idea, right?
John F. Kennedy years ago and his father, these guys were very strategic. They went after the one guy that hated him the most. It was the Irishman, it was Lyndon Johnson, who couldn't stand John F. Kennedy. But
you don't even have to go back that far. Reagan and Herbert Walker Bush fucking hated each other. I mean, if you want to see how much, or if you want to even go down this rabbit hole, go look up the George Bush Reagan shooting conspiracy, and the fact that I think it was Neil Bush was having lunch or dinner with Hinckley's brother the day of the assassination, and that they were effectively watching it happen on closed circuit TV, that kind of stuff. Go down there. I don't know how much I buy into it, but it's been there for a long time. It's one of the more subtle presidential assassination conspiracies. It's a great little rabbit hole if you like that kind of shit to go look down. Nuts, right? It's just crazy. But even if you don't buy into that part, they fucking hated each other. And they were assigned together by the Republican Party because Reagan was meant to be a puppet for Herbert Walker Bush, who was ambassador to China and head of the CIA during the Kennedy assassination. He was, it was pivotal to that whole thing. And there was all that conspiratorial shit behind him. Just say it. And by the way, hi, everybody. Welcome. Share the show, like, subscribe, infotainmentwars.com, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
But John F. Kennedy felt they needed Lyndon Johnson because he needed the Texas vote. And he needed that to help him pick up some other things. Calling LBJ to say, hey, I want you to be my VP. LBJ is like, who the hell are you? I'm supposed to call you to tell you to be my VP. I'm the freaking alpha. You're not an alpha. I'm supposed to be a president. You're running for president because your father. That's the exchange that took place. One of the best chapters in 48 Laws of Power talks about how hard Lyndon Johnson.
Yeah, this guy, by the way, everybody, the rule on this show is that you have to fap it to the 48 Laws of Power to even get on the panel.
Johnson worked on a campaign that he was exhausted, hospitalized at the end of the campaign. That guy was a dog. Don't agree with him. Don't like the guy. I think he was the reason why, John F. K's, had what happened to him. My opinion, or what happened to him. But I think
so. He thinks that LBJ was behind the assassination. That's why he went ahead and finished all the stuff that Kennedy was doing, and then decided not to run, because that's what you do. When you've assassinated your president, usurped his power to take over yourself, you go ahead and pass all of his signature legislation that he was pushing, and then you step down so Nixon can win. Because that's what you do, right?
this is one of those moments, and I'm
honestly, I'm a big fan of playing around with, I like the intellectual exercise of conspiracies. This is the dumbest shit ever.
not comparing JD to LBJ. I just think he would have.
Well, obviously not, because LBJ had a giant penis, and JD's a couch fucker. So,
been received much better than Nikki Haley. If he announced.
Yeah, because he's white and a man. Barely, but still.
Nikki Haley as his VP candidate, it would have been very weird to people like you.
Oh, it would have been very weird to people like you who hate the idea of women or brown people in charge of things.
Big time.
To people like you would have been like, wait, what?
Yeah, no, I wouldn't like that at all.
But he did.
No. Chicks, are you kidding me?
He did pick Nikki Haley, except her name is JD Vance.
Oh my God. Jesus Christ. This is how they're defending him. I mean, and again, the gorgeous part of this whole fucking craziness. It's so good. Thank you, Laszlo. Maybe Trump and company thought Burgum was too old. It didn't matter, because the idea is that allegedly it doesn't matter at all. Apparently, Trump is under the impression that it has no impact, and therefore if whatever it gains him, and the idea that Peter Thiel would appreciate it and throw money their way, even to help him get elected. Maybe that was part of the argument, because he doesn't really give a shit. But the problem is it does when you're that fucking old, right? It's why a bridge candidate concept behind Biden and Harris, and why this would be a pivotal move forward. Having her at the front of the ticket, possibly at the end of this, was a giant step forward on the Democrats. So that's why it was meaningful. With the Trump side, he's like, I'm going to live forever, which is not something. It's something he used to believe. It's clearly something he does not believe right now.
Yeah.
So he did, except.
No, he did not. He did not pick fucking Nikki Haley in the form of JD Vance, you lunatic.
This JD, and JD's going to get him the same thing Nikki's going to get him.
What? To lose?
So strategically, it's good. Now, that's one piece of the puzzle.
It is. Unfortunately, you know how you ever been putting a puzzle together and there's a piece missing? This is a piece where the rest of the puzzle is missing. I don't know what the fuck these guys are talking about.
The next one is what? The independent piece of the puzzle. Can he bring RFK in?
No.
He brings RFK in.
No.
The left is going to be shitting bricks.
Yeah.
No. If he brings RFK in, he guts all of that support on his side. By the way, the only reason he would bring RFK in is to get back the votes that RFK took from him, which is way more than he ever was going to take from Biden, much less Harris. RFK has dropped from a 15-point factor to a 5-point factor.
If he brings RFK in.
Tom and Pat, how long?
Also, by the way, I would like to congratulate this guy for coming in third place in the Lee Greenwood lookalike contest. I'm sorry that I didn't get to watch it live. And I mainly because they were lip syncing. If they were actually going to sing, I would have watched it. But I was like, nah, if you're going to lip sync it, then fuck you.
How long would that window of RFK saying he's going to either stay in the race, drop out, or go towards Trump? Like when you?
I don't know what the window is, but the quick update is, RFK's been the interviews he's done for the last 4 days. He's focusing on DNC lawsuits in certain states to keep him off the ballot.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what he's pushing right now. And he's like, hey, we barely have enough money to campaign. We're having to defend ourselves from all these suits to get us off the ballot. So why is that important?
Tough shit.
If there's a tipping point in there and RFK, finds a middle ground on something he cares about that Trump will say something positive on.
This is so what's the word? Plausible.
You could see it happen, but it feels like he wants to take this thing to the end, given all the time and effort that's been put into it to get on the ballots.
Can I give you one little piece?
Jesus Christ. Just honest to God, it's like watching these guys throw a wiffle ball up and just go, just miss.
So a feedback?
Yeah.
Fully agree with you, Pat, that Donald Trump right now, J.D. Vance, he's in the conversion business. We've all heard the term. You're preaching to the choir. The last thing Trump needs to do right now is preach to the choir. The choir is already voting for Trump. Who are the people in the Midwest, those paycheck to paycheck voters in Michigan and Pennsylvania, Wisconsin and Minnesota that are going to break for Trump? And by the way, you already know what they're going to do with J.D. Vance. He's a white male. He's racist.
He's weird.
Well, he's got a little secret weapon. He's got an Indian beautiful wife.
Right. It has no impact on his policies as far as any other voters. And right-wingers and Republicans have been shitting on her nonstop. Again, this is not a Democratic problem. This is not even a Democratic puzzle. This is Republicans causing themselves an issue.
Name Usha. We love you, Usha. Okay, so they're going to try to paint him as this misogynist, white supremacist. Dude, he's married to a Indian woman. I don't know, Rob, if you can find a picture of them. So...
Why? To prove it? We know.
Highly educated.
By the way, does anybody watching this podcast not know? Yikes.
Go a long way on the campaign trail. Any attack. So like the whole Mike Pence thing, there she is right there. The whole Mike Pence thing.
Yes. For the record, lovely. Don't have a... He has called her my Yale spirit guide. They're married in Kentucky, an interfaith marriage. She's Hindu. He's Christian. That's enough to drive away the Charlie Kirks of the world. Let's say she actually goes on the campaign trail with him. Let's say she does a bunch of events. What's that? What red flag is that going to raise? Where the fuck's Melania? This woman has a job. She works. Melania doesn't. Right? All it's going to do is draw attention to the fact that Melania's persona non grata. She's nowhere to be found.
Oh, he's just a white evangelist. It didn't help the cause that Mike Pence wouldn't be alone in a room with anybody other than his wife. He played like it was just a white bread, corny thing. This is a young, capable guy who's about to be 40, married to a woman of color.
Yeah.
The Nikki Haley of the world, if you will, who's
of the world. This guy likes to attach of the world to everything to broaden out the concept. The Ohio of the world, the Pennsylvania of the world, the Nikki Haley of the world.
Very capable.
Especially when he's talking about singular things. It's adorable.
Person. And the whole mess, it's symbolic. Hey, listen, guys, I know that you weren't on the Trump train, but it's okay to be on the train now.
Yeah, that'll work. It's totally going to work. I know you like the idea of an Indian woman kind of in the general vicinity of Republican politics, but not in charge of it. Best of both worlds. Vote for her husband, and she won't have anything to do with this shit. We will make sure that she doesn't Hillary Clinton her way into this stuff. All right, anyways, you guys get the point. That these guys are a fucking mess. Now, speaking of a fucking mess, if I may, ladies and gentlemen, like, subscribe, give a thumbs up, support the show. Join us, if you will, every afternoon as I do these shows. By the way, starting next week, Thursday show goes back to an hour later. Just letting you know. I've been starting at 3 during the summer. Once my kid goes back to school, there's a slight time change. So the Thursday show will be on at 4 o'clock instead of 3 o'clock my time, just an hour later on Thursdays. Just letting you know. And then Monday, Wednesday, Friday morning show. And then, of course, the radio show on Saturdays is ongoing. Unlike David Pakman, I can keep my radio show going. Anyways, just kidding. So we must, ladies and gentlemen, on this show, check in every so often with the most miserable man on the internet, Greg Kelly. It's been a while. This is from a video entitled, hold on, if I may, Greg Kelly, Trump doesn't fall for biased media trap. Yes, he did. Yeah, he did, actually. If you really think, I mean, he stepped in it horribly. Here we go with the nonsensical fact checking. All right, that's what passes for a chyron on Newsmax these days. I have not seen this video. I do not pre-watch these things at all. Let us. Oh God. That was joke Pac-Man shade. Relax. It's not real Pac-Man shade. He's just been talking about how he can swear next week because he's not on the radio. Simmer down.
We have a lot to get to, and we do not
Rachel Scott. Ow.
not want to waste any time. So let's bring out the former president of the United States, the Republican nominee for president, former President Donald Trump.
All right, again, the intro music was so fucking ridiculous, and I have to. My guess is that Don Jr. insisted on something. I don't know what it is. Also, and here we go. Yeah.
Oh man, where's Lee Greenwood?
Black music. Ah, it hurts. They're playing the beat and stuff. Where is Lee Greenwood? You can't play. Ah.
Nobody's clapping. And she, I believe, called him Mr. Trump.
Yes, Mr. Trump. Mm-hmm. Mr.
Trump.
Mr. Trump. Yeah, he's not president. I don't know if you know that right now. You could say former President Trump, but you can also say Mr. Trump when you're talking to him.
He calls him Mr. President publicly, but I think they were trying to put him in his place. Anyway, he wouldn't have it. So he just...
Really, Mr. Tongue Jet?
Just arrived. Listen to how they say hello to him.
Oh, it's terrible.
Mr. President, we so appreciate you giving us an hour of your time.
Yeah, that turned out not to be the case. He bailed out after a half hour. Just saying. He chickened out. He ran away. He tucked his tail and he fucking split.
I want to start by addressing the elephant in the room, sir. A lot of people did not think it was appropriate for you to be here today.
Just think for a second. Whether you're the president of the United States or you just got a job in McDonald's, if you...
Donald Trump has put the same amount of thought into both of those situations.
You go to a party and the host immediately tells you that...
It's not a party, motherfucker. It's an interview. It's a panel where you're supposed to explain yourself, especially if you've said shit in the past. And by the way, real quick, did you get hired to McDonald's after saying for a long time that people who work at McDonald's are scum, or that they're stupid or weak, or it's someplace you wouldn't, grace with your footprint? Like, because that matters in this analogy.
A lot of the people here don't want you to be there. How does it make you feel?
I don't care. If you're running to be president of the United States, I got news for you. I don't care who you are. A good chunk of the people aren't going to like you. Deal with it. Don't be a whingy little toddler about it. Let them, as a matter of fact, even more reason to have them hit you with their best shot, lay it out all on the line so you can address it and get it out of the way if it's an issue and then move on. Snowflake.
I don't care who you are. If you're a human being, that's an awful feeling.
Well, if you have feelings. I mean, obviously, so not really a factor.
And what a way to start a conversation. President Trump reacts like a human being. That's one of his many strengths. He's authentic.
Well, a toddler is a human being. I agree.
Authentic. Anyway, she goes on from there.
You have pushed false claims about some of your rivals, from Nikki Haley to former President Barack Obama, saying that they were not born in the United States, which is not true. You have told 4 congresswomen of color who were American citizens to go back to where they came from. You have used words like animal and rabid to describe black district attorneys.
So far, no lies detected.
You've attacked black journalists, calling them a loser, saying
NABJ event was like being invited to a party you're not welcome at. First of all, don't end a sentence with a preposition. Have a little class, Greg Kelly. Secondly, where you are not welcome. I'm just saying. Also, too loose an analogy. Just dumb.
the questions that they ask are, quote, stupid and racist. You've had dinner with a white supremacist at your Mar-a-Lago resort. So my question, sir.
Yeah, but he was brought by a black person, so I get a mulligan.
My question, sir, after I said all that stuff, controversial stories from over the past dozen years plus.
Right, you're making a push for these votes. All of this is true. Make your case.
All right, now she gets to her question.
So my question, sir, now that you are asking black supporters to vote for you, why should black voters trust you after you have used language like that?
Well, first of all, I don't think I've ever been asked a question in such a horrible manner. First question. You don't even say, hello, how are you? Are you with ABC? Because I think they're a fake news network, a terrible network. And I think it's disgraceful that I came here in good spirit.
In good spirit.
This is why we love him.
Because he doesn't take guff from black ladies. Because he doesn't answer the question, he gets all offended, gets his panties and his diaper in a bunch, and then he bitches about it instead of just going, I'm not worried about that. You know, I think people know who I am, and I know they know what I stand for, and you can look at my record as far as how I care about people. I use a lot of saucy language when I'm, I consider myself a verbal pugilist. But again, don't look at what people say, look at what they do, and here's what I've done. I've done this, I've done this, I've done this, I've done this. That's how you do it. And you don't even have to address the reporter. Then the reporter will look bad on their own if that was the case. Now, really, he has no defense. But if you had a defense, that's how you do it. And then the reporter would look like an asshole for even talking like that, right? That's how you do it. But again, like going back to the Bongino clip, he can't do that because he's incapable.
And look, he's reacting like a human being, and this is...
No, he isn't. He's reacting like a whiny little bitch.
Not right. Keep going.
To use the vernacular of the right.
I think it's a very rude introduction. I don't know exactly why you would do something like that. And let me go a step further. I was invited here, and I was told my opponent, whether it was Biden or Kamala, I was told my opponent was going to be here.
By the way, he said Kamala on purpose because Kamala is how it's pronounced, and you can hear the audience react to him saying Kamala. Listen.
Whether it was Biden or Kamala, I was told my opponent was going to be here.
See, you hear everybody like correcting his pronunciation in the background?
Turned out my opponent isn't here. You invited me under false pretense. And then you said, you can't do it with Zoom. Well, where's Zoom? She's going to do it with Zoom, and she's not coming. and then you were half an hour late. Just so we understand, I have too much respect for you to be late. They couldn't get their equipment working or something
Mr.
was
President,
wrong.
I would love
I think
if you
it's
can
a
answer the
very
question
nasty
on your rhetoric
question.
and why you
I have
believe that
answered
black
the
voters
question.
should trust you with another
I
4
have
years.
been the best president for the black population since Abraham Lincoln. That's my answer.
Better than President
That's
Johnson,
my
who signed the
answer.
Voting Rights
And
Act.
for you to start off a question and answer period, especially when you're 35 minutes late because you couldn't get your equipment to work,
Notice, like, he just lays it on her. And again, this goes to the whole black jobs thing. Again, why does he say black jobs? Is it because he's just racist and stupid? Sure. But specifically, let's be abundantly clear, and I want to make this clear to everybody. He says black jobs because black people have jobs and white people have careers. Understand that. That he makes a distinction between people who have careers, who have wealth, who have, a direction in life, and people who have jobs. A job, it goes nowhere. That's the point. And when he's and his cleanup, where he says black jobs, is anybody who has a job. That what he means is those jobs are all, that work is all the same. Just clarifying. It's fucking gross.
Such a hostile manner, I think it's a disgrace.
He's not wrong. And look at how they loaded up this question. I mean, right off the bat.
Yeah, she says, let me address the elephant in the room. You've said these things. Why would black people vote for you? I don't give a shit how many things were in there. If I sat down for an interview and somebody front-loaded every shitty thing I've ever said in my entire life, or took me out of context or even in context and said, why should we listen to you now? I would answer with, why you should listen to me now. Relevant details of what's going on right now and who I am as a person in front of you at this moment. It's not hard. By the way, if you have any fucking brains and you don't still harbor those awful feelings, you don't want to address the fact that you said those things because you would say them today if the mic was off. That's really the other part of it. Like, the reason he doesn't want to answer that is because he's the same person. He hasn't grown past it.
Put it up on the screen, please. She talked fast, but Obama, Nikki Haley, the Squad, Alvin Bragg, Fannie Willis, Letitia James, Yamiche Alcindor, Abby Phillips, Nick Fuentes, without even saying hello.
She said, thank you for spending an hour with us. We appreciate your time. Also, they're not meeting in an elevator, motherfucker. It's a panel. He's there for a limited time, and he cuts the time in half. He chickens out and splits anyways. Also, if you'll notice, all these folks, the only one that isn't black is Nick Fuentes, who hates the fact that the rest of these folks are black.
All right.
And he had lunch with him.
The fake news is freaking out about this moment right now, and so is Kamala Harris. But
freaking out about it? I don't think anybody's freaking out about it. I think we're pointing out the fact that it's gross and he's an asshole, and they're using it. You could say they're pouncing on it, perhaps, but they're not freaking out.
They just don't understand, do they?
No, they don't. I don't. Why don't you explain it to me? What, Greg, you know what? You're the Trump whisperer. Explain it to all of us. Why these black people should just shut the fuck up, apparently. Go ahead. Break it down.
Next, please.
Do you believe that Vice President Kamala Harris is only on the ticket because she is a black woman?
Well, I can say, no, I think it's maybe a little bit different. So I've known her a long time indirectly, not directly very much. And
then you haven't known her. You've known of her.
She was always of Indian heritage, and she was only promoting Indian heritage. I didn't know.
Also, by the way, beyond where he goes with this, let's be abundantly clear. A, no, she wasn't. And B, what the ever-loving shit are you talking about? Oh, there's a huge edit. Yeah, they jump ahead, of course. But, like, it's nowhere near true. Like, it's oddly not true. you could, if you were trying to, you try to take this stupid argument, you try to crowbar it in and fit and use it. The idea is that I always knew her as more focused on her Indian heritage and her Indian background and all that kind of stuff, and that seemed to be the real focus of for herself culturally. And then all of a sudden she's got a cultural shift, whatever that idea. You make a kind of mid-zone argument. This is just it's just absurd. Like it's violently absurd. And he doesn't care. I think that's what stands out about this. He just doesn't care. He likes the reaction that it gets from this crowd. He likes the fact that he's slamming her for her race. It's the same, it's the birther shit all over again.
She was black until a number of years ago when she happened to turn black, and now she wants to be known as black. So I don't know, is she Indian or is she black?
She has always
But you know
identified
what?
as a black woman.
I
She went to a
respect
historically
either
black
one.
college.
Right, yeah. By the way, Ms. Scott points out that she went to an HBCU, and Trump wants credit for the HBCU shit later on in the conversation. But
respect either one, but she obviously...
By the way, look at this Newsmax Chiron. Look at this shit. It's seldom that Greg Kelly and his, the one intern who hasn't quit, who works at Newsmax in the garage next to him, it's very rare that he manages to put a Chiron up that's equal to or worse than what Trump is actually saying. Look at this. Kamala flip-flops to any race that benefits her that day. Think about what it takes to type that out and think, that'll show them. Is this Greg Kelly's attempt to build a bridge with independence? That's what this is for?
obviously doesn't, because she was Indian all the way, and then all of a sudden she made a turn and she became a black person.
Just to be clear, sir, do you believe that
I think somebody should look into that.
See, this is how President Trump gets into trouble. He speaks the truth. You're not.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, that's why he's in trouble, because he speaks the truth. So it's that black people or the American people in general can't deal with the truth. We can't handle the truth. Is that the moment you think you're going to have here? Or could it be that he speaks his truth, which is a bunch of mishmash racist bullshit?
Not supposed to say that. How dare you say something that is true? Next, please.
How's it true? By the way, at this point, I'm not nearly as grossed out by what Trump said, which is awful, as I was by the Chiron, which was worse. Look at this. Kamala used to embrace her Indian heritage. She still does.
And certainly you could become the first Indian senator in U.S. history, which would be quite an accomplishment.
Not good. So what we're going to cook today...
Well, that settles it.
Okay. ...is an Indian recipe.
Yes.
Because
yes.
you are Indian.
Yes, yes.
Okay, and I don't know that everybody knows that, but I find that...
Because most people think of you as black.
Wherever I go and I see Indian people at the supermarket, on the street, everyone's like, Kamala Harris is Indian, right? It's like the thing we're so excited about, to have you running for president.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe she's conflicted about it. Actually, she might be.
Why would she be conflicted about it, Greg? Why would that be?
On her Senate bio, back when she first got there, it said a couple of things. She's the first South Asian American senator in history. And then later in the same bio, she talks about her African American heritage.
Right, because she's both, you fucking weirdo.
Maybe she's confused about it.
No, maybe she's both, you fucking weirdo. I gotta say, this is extraordinary. And again, this is, I know this can be infuriating because it's so gross. No question. But if we take that and we just put it to the side and understand that there are, 95 days till the election? And this is their primary attack right now. That they're trying to do kind of like a Cliff Notes version of birtherism in a big fucking hurry to try and undercut her race as a human being between now and the election. There's just over 90 days till the election actually happens. And this is what they're doing. Yes? And considering what they believe about everything, the border, the economy, inflation, all this shit, this is the primary point of attack. This is Trump's primary point of attack. He decided this. He set the dogs loose on this shit. And everybody is rushing in to go, yes, he was right to open up this line of attack. And going forward, we're on board with this line of attack. This is pathetic. Let me be abundantly clear. This is so fucking weak. It is going nowhere. There is not a single voter that is going to be turned on or turned off by this. I swear to God, the only reasoning I can think of why they would even go this way is because in their head, a bunch of people voted for Nikki Haley, who's Indian, and they might, oh dear God, because we all vote based on race. Of course we do. They might all vote for her if they think she's Indian, but she's really black, or is she? And if they're on the fence about it, maybe they won't come to the defense of her the way they voted for Nikki Haley. That's like that they're going to lose some Nikki Haley voters to her because she's also Indian, as if that's the reason people voted for Nikki Haley on the Republican side. For real. It's the only thing that makes sense. There's not a single strategic value anywhere else is that other than, and again, who the fuck is Greg Kelly talking to about this? You think people on our side of the aisle, except for me showing you this shit, are watching any of this? Of course not. You think like independents are watching this like tongue-jutting blather from this bullshitter with his fucking big boy hair? He's not trying to talk independents who might go to Kamala off the ledge. The only audience he could possibly think he's going to reach are Nikki Haley voters who are still toying around with the idea that they might not vote for Trump, but they haven't figured it out yet. That's it. That's the only... seriously, it is the only angle where this makes any sense. Other than, and granted, I'm talking strategically because there's another area where it makes sense, which is just Newsmax viewers get off on people who are sexist and racist and bigoted. That part of why you tune in to watch Newsmax is because it's racism porn and sexism porn. I don't want to sell them short.
It doesn't really matter, but they are going bananas with this. This is like they're trying to make this into the next Charlottesville. Anyway.
What?
Next, please.
In this moment where we are, why come...
Trump only wants what's best for Americans. Look at that. That's a... Can you imagine being the asshole who typed that? Honest to God, for fuck's sake. Is this what they think MSNBC types under Biden? Biden only wants what's best for Americans. You know what I mean? It's almost like they write what they think Democratic-leaning media writes under. Like, that's their direct translation. Shit.
Here, what is your...
Why don't you write just Trump? If it weren't for the sun shining out of his butthole, we'd all live in darkness. Why not just write that?
Message today.
My message is to stop people from invading our country that are taking, frankly, A lot of problems with it, but one of the big problems, and a lot of the journalists in this room I know and I have great respect for, a lot of the journalists in this room are black. I will tell you that coming from the border.
Yeah, again, so odd. Such a weird old fart. It's the National Association of Black Journalists. Now, granted, the last time he was in a black church, the audience was completely white. So maybe he thinks his people, because the lights are turned down, that his people loaded the audience with his own supporters again, and there's like 6 of them that were allowed to get in.
Are millions and millions of people that happen to be taking black jobs. You had the best.
What exactly is a black job, sir?
A black job is anybody that has a job. That's what it is. Anybody that has a job.
All right.
And
Mr. President,
Right. Don Jr. and Eric don't have jobs. They have careers. Black jobs are anything that somebody gets that isn't salaried, that's hourly. That's what he means. And you and I, most audiences, I will say this, chat room, if I may, you and I will probably use job, work, and career interchangeably. Most people do. The same way that I, as someone who didn't go to college or university, uses college and university interchangeably as well. Did you go to college? Did you go to university? I'm not making a real big distinction about it. Most people don't. But people like Trump sure as shit do. You go to university. You don't go to college. That's for poor people. College always has the word community attached to it in that world. His people go to university. You go to college. Right? That's what he means. His family has careers. They have businesses. You have a job. Poor people have fucking jobs. That's what he means. And so when he's saying it, like job, black people, these are black jobs, is that black people only have jobs. Just for the record. Blech.
Taking the employment away from black people. They're coming in, they're invading.
Also, apparently, black people all have jobs that can be taken by insane people who don't speak English. That's the quality of the work that black people do, apparently, is according to this asshole, their job, whatever it is so low quality that your job can be taken by an insane person who speaks a language nobody's ever even heard of before.
It's an invasion of.
Also, in the insane asylum thing is like, what's happening? Is he concerned that South American cannibals are going to take jobs away from American cannibals?
Millions of people, probably 15, 16, 17 million people. First group of people,
You cut off the whole, I think it's more than that because he keeps adding.
Black population is affected most by that. And Kamala is allowing it to happen. She's the border czar. She's the worst border czar in the history of the world. There's never been a border czar like this.
So the left, they're obsessed with race, right? And they said.
Yeah, that's why the left made him talk like that at the National Association of Black Journalists. He went to speak to the National Association of Black Journalists and acts like someone in a fucking like 80s comedy that had been told, whatever you do, don't say the word black. Mole, 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 mole.
The rules. How you can talk about race and who can talk about race. What terms are suddenly in fashion? What terms are suddenly out of fashion?
Asshole, you're a white dude in a room full of black people. It's the National Association of Black Journalists. Nobody's castigating him for using the word fucking black. That isn't the problem. It's your description of what you think black people do for a living, you fucking weirdo.
And President Trump is speaking some blunt realities. Yeah, and there are also generalities, but there's a core truth to what's going on here.
Is there?
He's talking about a segment of the economy that might be in the lower wage bracket.
Might be? Might be? And he describes that group of lower wage bracket workers as black. And this is his outreach.
You can look it up. There are statistics to back this up. But who
is there?
Who needs it, right? Who needs it? Let's just go to town. Donald Trump, oh my God, racist.
Said that Vice President Harris has only turned black a couple years ago, and before that, she was only promoting her Indian heritage. That is just not true. Question the vice.
Right. That's why would you not pause right there and go, yes, it is, because here's an example of all the times where she would not mention her black heritage because that shit doesn't exist. He's fucking stupid.
President's ethnicity. I mean, I can't even say what I really want to say about this, but I just think this was a calculating mistake.
This strong black woman they're rallying around, she didn't even say she was black until a little while ago. When did we not know she was black?
All right. The truth is that Kamala Harris for years has a little bit conflicted about her race.
Jesus Christ. Again, this is we don't have to do all this because I'm running out of time. I'm over time anyways. This is a 15-minute fucking segment. We're only at 8:53 in this segment. Can you imagine? Can you fucking imagine sitting, because this didn't happen organically. It's not like my show where I pull up clips and then I respond to things as they happen in the video that I have not pre-watched, for the record, right? He sat down with whoever's producing a show, if anybody at all, picked clips, organized this, in theory wrote some notes. I mean, I don't know how much production goes into this. It's shit, quite frankly. The show is shit, Greg. The show is shit. It's just shit. You have a shitty show. It's like a high school version of a college version of a news show that's cribbing from CNN, but you're really just going through the motions to get a passing grade. Like you're doing it pass fail. That's what it's like. It's just shit. But that said, there's definitely effort that goes into it. There's definitely, like, I guess, an office at Newsmax where you sit around and fucking talk about this shit before the show happens. Yes? Yes? Right? I think. So that means you went through and you pulled these clips from 2019 where she's talking to Mindy and cooking an Indian food dish, because most people don't know that they assume she's black and they don't know that she's half Indian, which was kind of the point. That's why they're drawing attention to the fact that she's half Indian. She's a mixed race, right? That would explain why they're doing this, specifically that segment. But these assholes sat around 15 fucking minute segment. Think about the effort that went into and even exerting that effort in the first place, right? That you had to sit around and go, you know what? Fuck her. We need to talk about this. To have that even emotional response to it is just weird. And then to go even further into it and organize a 15-minute segment on your show that night to talk about this. Like, there are two reasons to do it. Obviously, one is to defend Trump, which is the other primary reason why he and a bunch of these other folks are doing it. But for Greg, he's got this fucking weirdo axe to grind about how dare she, I don't know, make him feel bad about being white or something. I don't know. I've never felt bad about being white, so I don't know what the fuck his problem is. But
we saw her with Mindy Kaling, the girl from The Office, right? She's not altogether happy or comfortable in that moment. And neither is she.
What the fuck are you talking about? See what I mean? He thought about this. Like, they watched this video and he made some notes on his little piece of paper. That's why he never fucking looks into the camera. Because I guess nobody's there to run the teleprompter, or they won't set him up with a fucking scroller, which, by the way, they have little devices, Greg, where you could scroll your own teleprompter. I have one. I have a teleprompter, but I don't use it to speak. I use it to look at the chat room. So, hi, chat room. Just letting you know. But he could. He could put all these fucking notes in there, scroll forward, scroll back just with his thumb. Just letting you know. You lazy bastard.
In this, I believe, 2019 press conference where somebody boldly asked, hey, what is your situation when it comes to race anyway?
African American woman, but you're also Indian American, and I'm just curious.
Indeed.
What's the best? How do you describe yourself?
Did you read my book? How do I describe myself? I describe myself as a proud American.
Well, that.
Wow. Like, I can't think of a better way to answer that. First of all, look, by the way, please, I don't know what Greg's about to say. I just know that it's going to be more upsetting to him than it is to us. And we're going to be disgusted by it, I have no doubt. But the reporter said, you're African American and you're Indian American. How would you describe yourself? And she goes, as a proud American. Like, ta-da! No, normally, shit, if Nikki Haley said something like that, these people would be like, and I'm proud to be an American, right?
Sounds great, doesn't it, right? But
yes.
She's avoiding the question because at the time, how do I play this? By the way, nobody read her book. It was one of those fake books that politicians write, but her opponent.
By the way, this is the Young Readers edition. Also, asshole, fucking hell. Like, that's how you would want it answered. Especially, even the Republicans would want that answer. Like, and let's listen to it again. Listen to his answer on this. Because she's just like laughing about it and going, as a proud American.
I describe myself as a proud American.
By the way, she's at Howard University in this event, which is an HBCU. Historically black college and university. That'd be Howard, where she went. She's doing her campaign there when she was running. Just saying.
Well, that sounds great, doesn't it, right? But she's avoiding the question because at the time, how do I play this? By the way, nobody read her book. It was one of those.
Also, imagine that being your take. Imagine how stupid and weird and broken you would have to be to have the thought Greg Kelly just had about that answer.
Fake books that politicians write, but her opponent, Vice President Vance, hopefully we'll see, he wrote a...
Hopefully, what do you mean? This was 21 hours ago. This is new. This was yesterday.
Real book, okay? A real book that sold...
Full of bullshit that's not necessarily true.
A lot of copies before he ever got into politics.
Right, where he, when he was shitting on Trump.
Good for him. More about J.D. Vance later.
Of course.
In this show. But first this.
At least he's not confused about, I mean, there's that part of, obviously, where he's confused about his sexuality, and he goes to his mama and he says, I think I'm gay because I'm in love with my friend Billy, and she says, do you want to suck a bunch of dicks? That part of the book, obviously. And he went, no, of course not. Wow, that doesn't sound fun at all.
He's the most anti-immigrant, figure that we've seen in politics in a long time.
Donald Trump is so anti-immigrant.
He continues to rant, have these aggressive...
Oh, do you think, what do you think Greg's going to say? That he married an immigrant? 2 of them.
The anti-immigration comments.
Eastern European women.
He's been anti-immigrant for quite some time.
Donald Trump ratcheting up his violent and anti-immigrant messaging.
If they're breathing, they are lying. This is one of my favorite images from the Republican National Convention in 2020. New citizens from all over the world they came here legally, taking the oath of citizenship. And if you look that up, wow. People who take that oath have to do things that people who were born here don't necessarily have to do.
Right, because we were born here. Also, do you think you don't think this was for show? You think these are the only people that year that did it? Shit, First of all, it seems like Trump insisted on all the people that were there should be vetted by his campaign to look a certain way and stand there. But it's not like he oversaw the entire class of dozens of people. They had this show because he had the same problem he has right now, which is that he was being a racist piece of shit, and they tried to cover for it with a photo op.
And a quarter soldiers, all kinds of stuff. And it's beautiful and it's great.
What about quartering soldiers? Wait.
Who take that oath have to do things that people who were born here don't necessarily have to do. You had a quarter soldiers, all kinds of stuff. And it.
What? Hold on. New immigrants do not have to quarter soldiers in their homes to become citizens. What? Wait, what? What? Okay, sometimes even, I gotta say, very seldom am I surprised by the amount of stupid. This is fucking bananas. What? You have to quarter soldiers in your, that's just, I don't know. I'm getting a brain cramp just thinking of, trying to make sense of that. What? So Greg Kelly thinks to become a citizen in the United States, you have to let a soldier live in your house for a period of time. Okay. Do the soldiers have a say? I'm sure. Where's the Greg Kelly segment on why do the soldiers have to live with Nigerians?
It's beautiful and it's great.
It is beautiful and great. It's beautiful and great. It's both.
So why is the FBI going along with the fake news narrative? Haven't you guys done enough damage?
What?
So that's yesterday with the acting Secret Service director and a man named Abate, deputy director of the FBI. Now, you heard all that Trump is anti-immigrant stuff, right? He's talking about Crooks, the guy who shot Trump, killed the other guys, and wounded. Why would he say something like this at this time? We're not finding out much about Crooks officially, are we? Check this out.
Something just very recently uncovered that I want to share is a social media account which is believed to be associated with the shooter in about the 2019-2020 timeframe. There were over 700 comments posted from this account. Some of these comments, if ultimately attributable to the shooter, appear to reflect anti-Semitic and anti-immigration themes, to espouse political violence, and are described as extreme in nature. While the investigative team is still working to verify this account to determine if it did in fact belong to the shooter, we believe it important to share and note it today, particularly given the general absence of other information to date from social media and other sources of information that reflect on the shooter's potential motive and mindset.
Yeah, I've heard about this stuff as well. Yeah, he's a registered Republican, and the idea is that he felt like Trump was going to lose, and if you kill him, you can get somebody better in line. This was the Alex Jones replacement theory.
All right, takes a long time to say something, but that's what bureaucrats do. But the headline...
Fuck you, dude.
...there, anti-immigrant sentiments on Crooks's social media pages, right? All right, so from the FBI, we have it. The
Is that why he missed? He thought if he wounded Trump or he got close to it, it would guarantee that Trump got elected.
Shooter is anti-immigrant. He is anti-immigrant. Well,
FBI twists Trump assassin motives to fit narrative. What? Wouldn't this be the exact opposite? Wouldn't be the narrative would be that Trump is anti-immigrant and this guy's anti-immigrant, so why would he shoot him? That they're on the same side. If Trump's anti-immigrant, then what reason would this guy have to shoot him?
No, no. We don't believe that. We think.
What? You don't believe he's anti-immigrant because Trump's anti-immigrant and this guy shot at him?
That's the FBI lying all over again.
What? Why?
Because we have this very specifically from the CEO of Gab. Have you ever heard about that? Sure, it leans right. The man's name is Andrew Torba. He founded Gab in 2016, and he was contacted directly by the FBI, and he turned over hundreds of postings from crooks And here are some of them. Let's take it. These are February 3rd, 2021. Biden's president. I'm sorry, explain to me how Trump was ever concerned with what the left wanted, or anybody in the GOP for that matter. Next. First of all, Biden executive orders don't incentivize human trafficking, as human traffickers aren't interested in citizenships. These are his typos, by the way. The majority of illegal immigrants are not criminals, and in fact, some studies, such as the one linked below, show lower rates of crime committed by these individuals.
This is him responding to Cat Turd, by the way. On
heard that one before.
But all right.
The reason all the deaths are down is because you are stuck in your house. All right. That seems to be...
What's that in relation to? How's this supposed to fix your argument?
A left-leaning worldview. And as the CEO of Gab...
Why would he say you're stuck in your house?
Confirmed, because he's seen all this stuff. The story is this. The account for which data was requested was unequivocally pro-Biden, and in particular, pro-Biden's immigration policy. To the best of Gab's knowledge, as of 2021, Crooks was a pro-lockdown, pro-immigration, left-wing Joe Biden supporter.
So why did... and by the way, they're out. Oh, can I just say, for the record, one is, then why was he looking for a way to kill Joe Biden as well, which he was? But also, this is how Greg Kelly ends a segment about Donald Trump being a racist piece of shit to a black woman on a panel about where journalism, a journalist asked him a difficult question. Yeah, and they haven't proved it's Crooks' account. That's the thing too. And by the way, the Gab folks might have turned it over in an attempt to hope that it was the guy. We don't know. But the point is that, again, this was when he was 17 or something, was the idea. He would have been 17 years old, not old enough to vote. And the idea was that he was initially like that, and then he came around to being a Trumper, was the end of it. Also, all of it could be bullshit, because he could, even the stuff where he seemed to be pro-Trump, he could have been doing that just so he could get close, so he could kill someone. The same thing is true of the Biden stuff. You have to look at someone who was an assassin, and you got to take what they wrote with a certain grain of salt, unless it's like the Unabomber's manifesto, for example, right? It's Hunter's laptop. Yeah, that's exactly right. You know what I mean? Like, you have to be able to... Hold on, let me see if I can reload this. I don't know why this page is being such a jerk.
We have a lot to get to.
We do. There was a... Yeah. Where are you? Yeah. Dink. Yeah, so just to be aware, this was all the beginning of that video. This 50-minute video, 14:25. 14 minutes of that video was him defending Trump in this setting with the National Association of Black Journalists. And his dial out at the end is to bring up shit about a possible linkage that the FBI isn't sure of from accounts about the shooter. And by the way, none of us would be ultimately surprised if the dude who took a poke at him didn't like him. Didn't like his policies, any of that shit. Right? None of us would be surprised. I don't support it. Hopefully nobody in my audience does. I don't want anybody killed over these kind of things. And again, I want Donald Trump to go to jail for what he's done and stay there for a very long time. I want him to get good old-fashioned prison health care, keeping him alive and healthy for the entire time that he's in jail. I have no interest in him leaving this earth early, for the record. And if people disagree, that's on them, but it is absolutely, fundamentally, primarily my belief. That's how I live, and that's I like Joe Biden, believe that political violence has no place here. Okay? Just saying. And it would not surprise me if the guy who took a poke at him viewed himself as left of Joe Biden, further left of there. It does not seem like he does, though, because he voted in an election. He didn't join the Republican Party just to be a spoiler in the primaries, which is what the story they were saying. He voted in the election. And this is after those posts that they're talking about, where he apparently was blackpilled by the right. And then, in watching all that, followed this path, it seems so far that Trump, it was better if he was martyred. It would be better for the cause if Trump was martyred and somebody younger had come in that could go 8 years and they would backfill in about him. This is the story that about 2 months ago, Alex Jones was pushing, which would fit the timeline of this kid deciding this is the time I'm going to take him out. This is what could have motivated him. That he seemed like one of those kind of people. Do we know? No. Will we one day? Maybe. Does it matter in terms of our discourse? No. Yeah, he missed. Right. So was he there to miss? Was it there to be was he supposed to shoot at him and then distract with the explosion that was going to blow up his car and then disappear? Sounds like it. So, there you have it. Anyways, love you guys. Thank you guys for sticking around. Like, subscribe, give a thumbs up, support the show. Patreon.com/HalSparks. We didn't have a comedy show this month because of the tour that I was on and all that kind of stuff, because of Sexy Liberal, because we've had so many dates in a row. I will be having a Flapper show next month, and I'm going to try and do 2 in short order, like 3 weeks apart, as opposed to waiting the full end of the month thing, if that's cool with you guys, to try and make up for that one, because I really appreciate you guys supporting me via Patreon, and there's a myriad of ways you can do that. Thank you guys so much. Take care, and I will see you in the morning for Friday Eye, and then, of course, trendages and all kinds of stuff. I don't know. Let me check in real quick. Tomorrow, let's see. Andrea, do we have, it's Rob Glenn and who else? Do we have anybody else for the second part of tomorrow? Just checking before I sign off to see if that's a possibility. And J.D. Vance credits Donald Trump for release of American prisoners. Oh, that part. Yeah, so we'll end with this little piece right here. I'll show you this nonsense. This shit
just came out about.
This is, so Biden got these people released. He, only Rob? Good. Okay, cool. Thank you.
Do you have a reaction to the news that just came out about the prisoner swap that will bring 2 Americans back home potentially?
Look, I think it's great news, at least what little we know. We certainly want these Americans to come back home. It was ridiculous.
What little do you know? You're running for VP. You can ask. You've got Secret Service detail. You've got access to any information as a senator you would want. With a single phone call, you could find out exactly where their plane is in the air right now. I guarantee it.
Ridiculous that they were in prison to begin with, but we have to ask ourselves, why are they coming home? And I think it's because
because Biden negotiated it.
Guys all over the world recognize Donald Trump's about to be back in office, so they're cleaning house. That's a good thing, and I think it's a testament to Donald Trump's strength.
You've explained at length your past criticism of the former president. I'm just curious, though, is there still an issue where you feel like you are on a different level than him, that you feel like you are hoping to sway him on if you were to become his vice president?
Look,
well, here's one I would like to bring up, if I may. You'll notice the wall behind you was created using big, heavy equipment. And when you put that thing in place, on both sides of the wall, you're going to need to have vehicles like this be able to move. So in the creation of the wall, you created an access road on either side of it. That access road goes all the way to the end of the wall, which goes to Indian land, where if you were, I don't know, so inclined, instead of having to climb up a hillside, which you might have had to do in the past, you could just walk down it and then walk around, and you'd be on Indian land, and no one from the Department of Homeland Security or ICE or anybody could touch you until you're, far away from them. So, was that a bad idea? Should the other side of the wall, should they blow up the access road that's still there that allows people to walk previously difficult terrain all the way to the end of it, dragging a rolling suitcase now because it's smooth as a baby's ass, and then just walk into the country? Was that a mistake at all?
My job as vice president will be to help implement the governing agenda, and if, God forbid, something happens, to step into the gap. But Donald Trump's very healthy. I think he's going to be a great president. He's going to be a great president for 4 years. But my job here is to help prosecute,
not in a row,
the case, let the American people know what Kamala Harris actually is, what she's actually done, and then when we get in the White House to actually help govern, that's what I'm going to focus on.
By the way, I can't hear you over the chaos at the border. Could you speak a little louder? Because all the cannibals crawling all over the wall and just running away and no one stopping them I'm just saying, oh, nice. Thanks, Andrea. Next week it'll be very exciting. I'm sorry, I can't hear J.D. Vance talking over all the chaos at the border and the thousands of cannibals crawling over it like World War Z. And the helicopters. And, of course, the gunshots, because it's chaos. Yeah, millions of them, obviously. And I don't know why people are parking those vehicles so close to it, because obviously they're gonna jump over the wall and steal them and then drive them back and give them to a cartel so that they can load giant dump trucks full of fentanyl and then drive them across the border because they're allowed to. Possibly.
So there's not an issue where you two differ at all?
Look, certainly we're going to differ on issues from time to time, but my job is to provide counsel to the president in private and then try to help him govern and do everything we can to help him do that.
Got it. Thank
Thanks.
you. Appreciate you, Senator.
Thanks. Whew, that was a question. That was not a... Look at her. She's like, well, it didn't sound like an answer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have a...
That was the tail end of it. Okay, that's that little slice. Thank you guys so much. Like, subscribe, give a thumbs up, support the show. And don't forget, most of all, that if there's something to be concerned about, it's not immigration, it's not fentanyl, it's not inflation, it's not a giant asteroid. It's clearly the kidney. Oh, God.
The kidney has a very special place in the heart.
Oh, God. Thanks so much, everybody. Thank you, Roderick, by the way. And Maureen, thank you so much. And Michael. And everybody who became a member. And Laszlo already said hi, but thank you so much. And Balt Thanos, thank you. Reclaim.